What's the first thing to vanish when there's a disaster? It's not just food or water. When the economy tanks, war breaks out, or a natural disaster hits home, critical items fly off the shelves before you even realize it. And if you're not ready, you'll be left scrambling for scraps. That's the harsh truth. Most people don't think ahead, and by the time they do, it's too late. But you're not most people. You're here because you want to be ready. You want to protect your family and yourself from being one of the clueless masses caught unprepared. Today, I'm breaking down exactly what disappears first when disaster strikes. Not just the obvious things, but the unexpected essentials most people never think about until they're gone. Even better, I'll show you how to stock up smartly before everyone else panics. If you're serious about prepping, pay attention, because being late to the game isn't an option. It's time to prepare now. 1. Meat always disappears first. Meat is one of the first things that gets wiped out when disaster strikes. You walk into the store and the shelves are cleaned out like a pack of locusts came through. What's funny is, in most emergencies, the power's out and people's fridges are useless. But that doesn't stop the average person from hoarding meat like they're about to host a neighborhood barbecue. They're not thinking ahead, but you will be. Here's the deal. Fresh meat is a terrible option during a crisis unless you've got a one-way ticket to a perfectly powered bunker. Odds are, you don't. The best bet for storing meat? Canned meat. No contest. It's cheap, lasts nearly forever, and is ready to eat. Whether it's chicken, tuna, Spam, or even pulled pork, you've got options. Got a favorite? Stock up on it. Hate Spam? Skip it. This is all about what works for your prepper plan. Just make sure it's shelf-stable, nutrient-dense, and something you're actually going to eat. Canned meat packs a punch. High in protein, loaded with fats, and, in many cases, pre-cooked. That's exactly what your body needs during emergencies when your caloric output is likely higher, whether you're chopping wood or just managing the chaos around you. Plus, storing canned meat is about as simple as it gets. They stack easily, they can be tucked into all kinds of pantry spaces, and with zero prep, they can save you in a pinch. Look, you don't want to be that person at the grocery store fighting over the last pack of bacon when disaster hits. Don't waste time or energy. Go grab cases of canned chicken breast, beef stew, or salmon now. Meat is precious when you've got to survive, and every good prepper knows to stock up before the rush. Don't wait until the shelves are bare. Store now or suffer later. It's that simple. 2. Canned goods are a lifesaver. If your pantry isn't crammed with canned goods, then you're already losing the prepping game. There's no excuse. Canned food is cheap, versatile, and built to last. When disaster strikes, everything canned is gone in an instant. It's like people suddenly remember they actually need food to survive. But by then, it's too late. Here's the goal for you. Variety. You want your shelves stocked with more than just green beans and corn. Think outside the box. Fruits, vegetables, beans, legumes, soups, stews, and yes, those one-and-done meal cans like chili, beef stew, or corned beef hash. These are clutch. Not only do they pack great flavor, but they're also calorie-dense and require little to no prep time. Bonus points if you can eat it straight out of the can while the world's falling apart around you. What do you need to do now? Start buying what you love to eat. Do not stock up on things you might eat just because they're cheap. If you wouldn't touch canned spinach during normal days, you sure aren't going to reach for it in survival mode. Get foods you like. Tomatoes for soups and stews. Mixed fruit to keep your spirits up. Black beans and chickpeas for protein. And trust me, you can never have enough basic cans of corn or peas to round out meals. Here's a pro tip. The quick meal cans are emergency gold. These are lifesavers when you're out of energy or options. Crack open a can of beef stew, heat it up for 5 minutes, and boom, dinner's done. And don't overlook corned beef hash. It's like breakfast and dinner in one. Hearty, filling, and satisfying. Remember, you're not going to care about gourmet 3-course meals during a crisis. You'll want fast, efficient, and filling meals. Canned goods take care of all that in one shot. You don't wait for disaster to think about dinner. Stockpile now. A can of soup today could be the difference between eating and starving tomorrow. Trust me, your future self will thank you. 3. Rice and pasta are staples that vanish. Here's the cold hard truth. While everyone is panic buying bread and milk during emergencies, the smart preppers are already ahead of them, stacking bags of rice and pasta like their lives depend on it. And spoiler alert, they kind of do. These 2 items are dirt cheap, ridiculously versatile, and will last practically forever if you store them right. Rice should be your best friend during emergencies. It's the ultimate survival food. It's lightweight, calorie-packed, and can stretch a meal to feed a small army. Whether it's basmati, jasmine, or your basic white rice, the key is to stock up in bulk. Think big. Those 50-pound bags big. They'll save you money and spare you from having to run to the store last minute. Here's a trick that works like magic for storage. Grab a few empty 2-liter bottles, clean them out, and fill them with rice. Not only does this keep pests like weevils out, but it's also an easy way to portion it out. Then we've got pasta. It's the MVP of easy meals. It's filling, affordable, and requires minimal effort to cook. You can turn it into dozens of dishes with whatever else you have, which is exactly what you'll need in a crisis. From spaghetti to macaroni, don't just buy one type, either. Mix it up. Keep your kids or even yourself from getting bored of eating the same thing daily. Rice and pasta are also great for one big reason. They're carb heavy. That means energy. When you're running low on fuel, carbs can help you push through. These aren't just foods, they're survival tools that should already be in your pantry. Here's where most people mess up. They assume they've got time to stock up. Spoiler alert again, you don't. The second disaster looms, these staples disappear faster than you'd think. 4. Cooking oils and fats, the silent essentials. Cooking oils and fats are some of the most ignored yet crucial items in emergency prepping. People don't realize how much they rely on these until they're gone. Think about it. How are you cooking your food? How are you getting additional calories if supplies are tight? And beyond that, how are you making bland survival food taste even remotely decent if you don't have a little oil or fat to work with? Here's the blunt truth. Without oils, a lot of your long-term food prep can feel impossible. Oils do more than sauté vegetables or fry meats. They add flavor, preserve food, and pack in a dense calorie punch that you'll need if times get tough. And don't assume that all oils are created equal, because they're not. For our family, we favor avocado oil, coconut oil, and olive oil. Why? For starters, they're healthier and easier to store long-term if you handle them right. Avocado oil is versatile, has a high smoke point, and works for almost anything. Coconut oil doesn't just cook well, but also lasts forever and doubles as a survival multi-tool. You can use it for skin care, wound treatment, and other emergency needs. Olive oil? One of the oldest cooking staples in the world. Great for flavor, great for your health. Here's some advice. Store a variety. Cooking oil is not a one-size-fits-all situation. Maybe you want a little butter powder on hand for baking or to add to meals. Or maybe you need lard or ghee for high heat and rich flavor. You don't have to choose a single oil or fat when preparing your pantry. Think ahead. Heck, aim to store as much as you can reasonably use. Because if there's one thing you'll regret during a food crisis, it's cooking everything dry and tasteless. Stock up on oils now while you still can. 5. Salt, sugar, and spices, the flavor arsenal. Salt, sugar, and spices are more than just kitchen staples. They're lifelines in a crisis, yet they're often passed over as unnecessary. Big mistake. While you could technically survive on bland meals of rice and canned meat, that doesn't mean you should. When everything else is stressful, food can be your one bright spot. And trust me, a little flavor goes a long way. Salt is the most underrated item you can stock. People forget. It's not just a seasoning. It's an essential mineral your body needs, especially in high-stress situations. It helps with hydration, balances electrolytes, and even has medical uses like wound cleaning or preserving food. Plus, in a long-term disaster, salt can even become a bartering item. Now, sugar, on the other hand, is indulgent but practical. Americans especially are hooked on it, so there's no shame in stocking up. You'll need it for baking, cooking, or even trading. More importantly, sugar serves as a quick energy source when you're burning calories left and right just trying to survive. Then we have spices. People completely overlook these, thinking, oh, I don't need spices to survive. Seriously? You think a world-ending scenario is the time to eat flavorless food? Spices not only make meals tolerable, but also create a sense of comfort. And comfort matters when your world is upside down. Imagine having chili powder, garlic, paprika, or even curry in your stash to transform basic ingredients into something edible, maybe even delicious. Seasoned food can calm down stressed-out family members, give you a bit of normalcy, and make life a little more bearable when everything else feels chaotic. Bottom line, don't skimp on the basics. Salt, sugar, and spices don't take up much room, they last forever, and they'll keep you sane when the pressure's on. Load up your pantry now. Trust me, putting together a decent meal during a crisis is the morale boost you didn't know you'd need. 6. Coffee and tea. Your survival caffeine fix. Coffee and tea are two of the most overlooked yet invaluable prepper items for one simple reason: comfort. Imagine the world around you falling apart. There's chaos, uncertainty, and endless stress. Do you really want to face all of that without a hot cup of coffee or tea to keep you grounded? Absolutely not. These aren't just drinks, they're survival tools. Coffee isn't just about the caffeine kick, although that's reason enough to stock up. It's about maintaining sanity. Without coffee, you're looking at tired, cranky people trying to make decisions when every choice matters. Do you want that kind of tension in your group? I don't think so. For many of us, especially habitual coffee drinkers, a lack of caffeine can lead to headaches, mood swings, and a general inability to function. That's the last thing you need in a tense survival situation. Then there's tea. It's not just the coffee alternative, it's its own form of survival magic. Certain teas can calm anxiety, soothe digestion, or even fight off colds. A hot cup of herbal tea after a long day can help you decompress and take the edge off. But don't just think about function. Both coffee and tea bring a sense of routine and normalcy. That small act of brewing a pot or steeping a bag connects you to the life you had before everything went sideways. And normalcy is priceless in a disaster. What should you stock? Start with instant coffee and vacuum-sealed grounds for long storage. For tea, aim for an assortment. Keep your staples like black or green tea, but don't overlook herbal options like chamomile, mint, or even ginger. Shelf life is long, they're lightweight, and they're barter gold in a pinch. The point is simple. Survival isn't just physical, it's mental too. Coffee and tea can mean the difference between a stable, functioning group and one that's fraying at the edges. If you don't have a stash yet, start now. When times get tough, you'll be glad you did. 7. Bottled water. The first thing to vanish. If you've watched any major crisis unfold, you'll know one universal truth. Bottled water disappears first. It's like clockwork. People can go without food for days, but without water, they're doomed. And yet few people think ahead. Don't be one of them. If you want to avoid running to empty store aisles hoping for a miracle, start prepping your water supply right now. Now, you could build up a stash of bottled water, but honestly, that's inefficient. Buying dozens of little plastic bottles not only takes up a ton of space, but also adds to waste. Plus, they don't go very far in an actual emergency. Here's what smart preppers do instead. Go big with 55-gallon water drums. These giant containers hold enough water to keep you and your family alive for weeks, even months if rationed. They're super durable, easy to store in a closet, basement, or garage, and work with a simple pump for access. For long-term prepping, go beyond just storing plain water. You need electrolytes. That's the stuff your body needs to absorb and retain water efficiently. Without electrolytes, you'll just flush everything out and dehydrate faster. You can grab electrolyte powders, or if you're on a budget, stock up on Gatorade. Just watch the sugar content. My tip? Look for low-sugar powders that are designed for hydration. They're portable, last longer, and don't give you that sugar crash. Water isn't optional, folks. Without it, none of your fancy survival gear or stocked-up food matters. Plan ahead. Get those big drums. Stockpile your electrolytes, and stop relying on hoping the stores will have what you need. The smart move is to secure your water supply now, not later. 8. Bread and flour gone in a flash. When disaster strikes, bread is one of the first things people grab. Why? It's cheap, familiar, and filling. But the problem is, bread shelves empty out fast. The moment people start panic buying bread, they'll hit the flour next. Gone. Within hours. If bread is a staple for your family, you need a plan to handle this now, before it's too late. Prepping bread doesn't just mean rushing out to buy those loaves on the daily. Smart preppers make their own. Yes, you heard me. If you don't already bake at home, it's time to start. Bread making is straightforward, and if you're equipped with a solid recipe, you can whip up bread that's fresher, tastier, and better for storage than anything store-bought. If you don't know where to start, dig into bread-making cookbooks or online tutorials. I'll link a great one in my description that we use all the time. What about flour? Sure, you can stock up on pre-milled flour, but the real prepping hack is going straight for wheat berries. These are whole, unprocessed grains that last almost indefinitely when stored properly. With a grain grinder like the Wondermill, you can turn those wheat berries into fresh flour whenever you need. It's a game changer. While others are fighting over scraps, you'll be grinding and baking without a worry. It's not just about survival, it's about thriving. Bread can boost morale, provide comfort, and keep you full. Whether it's simple loaves, biscuits, or tortillas, being able to bake your own puts you miles ahead during a crisis. Don't rely on stores. Stock up on flour, wheat berries, and the tools to make bread now, and you'll thank yourself later. 9. Dairy products milk. Gone in a flash. You don't even need a disaster to see this one in action. Think about it. A slight inconvenience, say bad weather or a supply chain hiccup, and milk vanishes from shelves almost instantly. Now picture an actual crisis. Milk? Gone before you even make it inside the store. If you and your family rely on dairy products, you need a strategy to cover this shortage ahead of time. The simplest and most effective solution? Powdered milk. Sure, some people turn their noses up at it, but when fresh dairy isn't an option, powdered milk does the job. It lasts for years, is space-efficient to store, and can be used for drinking, cooking, or baking. Yes, it's a bit pricier than regular milk, but in a survival situation it's worth every penny. There are even high-quilled options now that taste better than the powdered milk your grandma used to keep in her pantry. But milk isn't the only dairy product you might miss. Cheese and butter are essential too. For cheese, consider canned varieties or buy freeze-dried for long-term storage. And butter? Powdered butter may not sound glamorous, but it's a lifesaver when the fresh stuff runs out. Alternative options like ghee, clarified butter, are fantastic because they're shelf-stable and versatile. Here's the thing. Dairy isn't just a nice-to-have in a crisis, it's in many of the recipes you'll rely on for comfort and survival. Whether it's adding powdered milk to coffee, buttering up your bread, or sprinkling cheese over rice and pasta, you'll want dairy to keep some normalcy in your meals. 10. Peanut butter, the emergency superfood. Peanut butter is hands down one of the most perfect foods for survival situations. It ticks all the boxes: high in fats, plenty of protein, loaded with carbs, and best of all, it's ready to eat straight out of the jar. No cooking, no refrigeration, no fuss. If you don't already have jars of peanut butter in your prepper stash, you're making a serious mistake. Here's the thing. Not all peanut butter is created equal. Walk down the grocery aisle and you'll see all kinds of peanut butter packed with preservatives and artificial junk. Those versions might last a while, but do you really want to rely on ingredients you can't even pronounce during a crisis? Stick to the natural stuff. Look for peanut butter with just 2 ingredients: peanuts and maybe a little salt. That's it. The fewer additives, the healthier and better it will be for you. Peanut butter is a powerhouse. It's dense in calories, provides quick energy, and is incredibly versatile. Slap it on bread or crackers, mix it with oats, or just grab a spoon and dig in. Plus, it lasts forever. Seal up those jars tight and they'll be good for years, making it a top-tier prepper food. Here's a tip: stock up on small to medium-sized jars. While those jumbo jars might seem appealing, you don't want to risk wasting it if you can't finish it quickly once opened. Smaller jars are easier to handle and less likely to spoil after opening. Peanut butter isn't just a luxury in emergencies, it's essential. Stockpile it now because when disaster strikes, you'll regret passing up this creamy or crunchy lifesaver. 11. Baby formula and diapers, not just for parents. Even if you don't have kids in diapers, don't skip this step. Some preppers make the smart move of stocking up on baby formula and diapers regardless of their personal needs. Why? Because when disasters hit, these items are often some of the most desperately sought after. Whether it's extended family, neighbors, or barter opportunities, baby supplies can end up being as valuable as water or fuel. Formula is a critical item. If you have infants in your family, it's non-negotiable. Yes, it's expensive, but a baby can't exactly survive on canned chili or rice. Stocking up on canned formula provides peace of mind, especially if supply chains break down. If the cost makes you cringe, there are recipes available to make your own baby formula at home. This is a great skill to learn now because during a crisis, finding formula can become nearly impossible. Diapers are the second part of this equation. Disposable diapers might not be essential for every household, but they are a necessity for those who need them and a golden bartering tool for everyone else. For long-term prepping, cloth diapers are the smarter, more efficient choice. They're reusable, which means you're not burning through a finite supply, just clean them after use, and they're ready to go again. Here's the takeaway. Whether you're a parent or not, baby supplies are worth prepping. They're invaluable to families, make for great trade items, and could end up saving somebody's life. Skip these now, and you risk being caught unprepared when someone around you needs them the most. 12 minutes and 12 seconds, and don't forget the pets. Your pets are part of your family, right? Then why is their survival often an afterthought? Here's some real talk. If you don't plan for your pets in a crisis, you've failed them. Simple as that. Pets need food just like you do. And trust me, pet food vanishes from shelves during any disaster, leaving unprepared owners scrambling for scraps. For pet food, you've got 2 main options. Dry food, kibble, is your cheapest space-saving choice. Most dry pet food will last for months, even years if stored properly. Just make sure to keep it sealed in airtight containers to avoid pests or spoilage. On the other hand, canned pet food lasts even longer but costs more. If you're looking for long-term reliability, canned food is the better bet. But what if you're out of pet food or didn't stock enough? There's one backup plan that smart preppers use. Start saving table scraps. Most pets, especially dogs, can safely eat leftover meats, vegetables, and carbs from your own meals. Just avoid harmful foods like chocolate, onions, or anything heavily spiced. Keep your furry friends fed using what's already in your kitchen. Here's the blunt truth. If you're not planning ahead for your pets, you might as well admit now that you'll leave them to fend for themselves. Don't do that. Stock up on food, consider their medical needs, and ensure they're just as prepared as you are. They're depending on you. 13. Medications and first aid supplies. Most people think of food when prepping, but medications are just as critical. It doesn't matter how much gear or ammo you have. If you're laid out with a migraine or an untreated infection, you're in trouble. Medications, both over-the-counter and prescription, are some of the first items to vanish during any major crisis. First, focus on the basics. Stock up on over-the-counter essentials like acetaminophen, ibuprofen, and antihistamines. These can handle pain, inflammation, fever, and allergies. Don't just grab those little bottles either. Buy in bulk. Those monster-sized bottles can last for years if stored correctly. And in a disaster, you'll want a decent supply to handle everything from headaches to sprains to fevers. Prescriptions are trickier. Talk to your doctor about getting a longer supply of life-saving meds if possible. For items like insulin, you'll need to plan for temperature-controlled storage. But for most other prescriptions, simply having a 3 to 6 month supply can make a world of difference. Now, beyond medication, don't forget first aid supplies. Band-aids, gauze, antiseptic, and basic wound care kits are crucial. Simple injuries can turn deadly if you don't have the tools to treat them. Think about what's already in your medicine cabinet and double or triple it. You don't want to be the person fighting over the last box of Band-Aids when disaster hits. Medications and first aid supplies are the difference between handling minor issues at home and rushing to an overwhelmed hospital or clinic. Don't gamble with your health. Start buying now, because when the shelves are cleared out, you'll wish you had.